Sasha is on stage, singing her heart out, basking in the adoration of thousands of fans. My life was a whirlwind of flashing lights, roaring crowds, and platinum records. From the outside, I had everything a 19-year-old pop star could dream of. I was Sasha, the girl on top of the world. And next to me, always, was Theo. Handsome, charming, from a family whose name was written in gold on half the buildings in this city. He was the perfect accessory to my perfect life. Or so I thought. After a sold-out show, he'd sweep me into his arms. The cameras would flash, and he'd whisper, "You are incredible, babe," as always. But his eyes were always scanning the crowd, looking for someone more important, more influential. I was his shiny trophy, and he never let me forget it. The calls started subtly. A blocked number here, a heavy silence there. Then came the notes, tucked under my limo's wiper blade. "We're watching you," I tried to show Theo, my hands trembling. He just laughed it off. "Sasha, darling, it's just some obsessed fan. It comes with the territory." His dismissal felt colder than the anonymous threats. The fear was a quiet hum at first, but soon it was a screaming siren in my head. My manager, seeing the genuine terror in my eyes, decided to take it seriously. That's when he walked into my life. Damon. He was my new bodyguard. He didn't just walk into a room. He commanded it. Tall. Built like a fortress, with a stillness that was more intimidating than any loud display of bravado. He wore a simple black suit like it was custom-made armor. And his eyes. They were the most piercing blue-eyed ever seen, and they seemed to look right through the pop star facade to the scared girl underneath. His first words to me were simple and direct. "I'm Damon. My only job is to keep you safe, Ms. Valentine." There was no fawning, no star. To him, I wasn't Sasha the pop star. I was a job, a responsibility, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a flicker of safety. Theo hated him instantly. He saw Damon as a challenge to his authority, a shadow looming over his prize. "Do you really need this hired muscle following us everywhere?" he'd sneer, deliberately trying to get a rise out of Damon. But Damon was unmovable, his expression a calm, unreadable mask. He'd simply reply, "Those are my orders, sir." One night, after a charity gala, Theo got particularly aggressive, grabbing my arm a little too tightly. "Let's get out of here. I'm bored." Before I could even wince, Damon was there. He didn't touch Theo, but his presence was enough. His voice was low, almost a whisper, yet it cut through the noise. "Release her!" Now, Theo, shocked and embarrassed, let go immediately. In that moment, I saw the difference between them. Theo's possessiveness was about control. Damon's protection was about my well-being. The threats escalated. A slashed tire on my limo, a detailed schedule of my private meetings, leaked online. The police were involved, but they had no leads. The world that once felt like my kingdom now felt like a cage. The only place I felt I could breathe was in the silent, watchful presence of Damon. He taught me basic self-awareness, how to notice things, how to spot when something was out of place. We'd spend hours in the gym, him patiently guiding me through defensive moves. "The goal isn't to win a fight," he'd say, his voice steady. "It's to create a window to escape. Your safety is the only victory that matters." During those sessions, the lines between client and protector began to blur. I saw the man behind the suit. I saw the discipline, the quiet integrity. And I realized my heart would beat a little faster when his hand would brush mine to correct my form. The breaking point came during a music video shoot on a skyscraper rooftop. It was supposed to be a spectacular finale, me singing against the backdrop of the city lights. Theo was there, of course, schmoozing with the director. As I was getting my makeup touched up, Damon's eyes were constantly scanning. Suddenly, his body went rigid. He was looking at a scaffolding on the adjacent building. I followed his gaze and saw a glint of metal, a scope. My blood ran cold. Damon moved without a sound. He pushed me down behind a stack of equipment, his body shielding mine. "Stay down! Don't move!" he commanded. Chaos erupted. People were screaming, running. I heard a sharp crack, and a spotlight above us shattered, raining glass everywhere. Damon didn't even flinch. He had me moving, keeping low, using every piece of cover as we made our way to the service exit. But where was Theo?
I risked a glance back and saw him, cowering behind a producer, his face pale with selfish fear.
He hadn't even looked in my direction. The realization hit me like a physical blow. He would have let me die to save himself. Damon shoved me through the door and down a flight of stairs, his hand never leaving my back. A constant, reassuring pressure. We burst out into a back alley, the sounds of sirens growing closer. He bundled me into his black sedan, which was parked and waiting. As he sped away from the chaos, I finally looked at him. There was a cut on his cheek from the flying glass. Without thinking, I reached out and gently touched it.
"You're hurt."
He just looked at me, his blue eyes intense. "It's nothing. You're safe. That's all that matters." And in that moment, under the flickering streetlights of the city, I knew the perfect life I thought I had was a lie. The perfect man was a fraud. My true protector, the one who saw me, Sasha, not the brand, was sitting right beside me. We drove in silence to one of his secure safe houses, a nondescript apartment that was a world away from my penthouse. It was sparse, clean, and anonymous. It was the safest I had felt in months. Damon cleaned the cut on his face, his movements efficient and practiced. I just watched him, my heart a mess of gratitude, fear, and a new, unfamiliar fluttering. "Thank you, Damon," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "You saved my life." He finally stopped and looked at me. Really looked at me. The professional mask was gone. In its place was something softer, something vulnerable. "It's my job," he said, but his eyes told a different story. They said it was more than that. I took a step closer. Theo, ... He just left me there. A muscle in Damon's jaw tightened.
I saw. That was all he needed to say.
We both understood the truth of Theo's character. That night, everything changed. Away from the cameras, the crowds, and the expectations. We were just a man and a woman in a quiet room. I told him about the pressure, the loneliness of fame. He told me about his past, about why he chose this life of service and protection.
We talked for hours, discovering the person behind the public image and the stoic exterior.
I found myself drawn to his quiet strength, his unwavering moral compass. He was everything Theo pretended to be. The danger was still out there. The threat hadn't vanished. In fact, it felt closer than ever. But I wasn't scared anymore, because, as I looked at Damon, I knew I wasn't alone. I had found something real in my world of make-believe, a love that wasn't for the cameras, a love that was willing to stand in the line of fire. Our story was no longer about a pop star and her bodyguard. It was about two souls finding each other in the midst of chaos. And I knew, no matter what came next, we would face it together. Thanks so much for watching our story. If you enjoyed Sasha and Damon's journey, make sure to hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. We love creating these stories for you, and your support means the world to us. See you in the next video.